Welcome back to our exploration of Wuthering Heights. Today we will break down the twists and transformations of Chapter 7. Let's get started. When Catherine returns home on Christmas Eve from her 5-week stay at Thrushcross Grange, she is no longer the wild child racing barefoot across the moors. She has transformed into a refined young lady, dressed in fine clothes, her hair styled with care. It is a total makeover. Why the change? Well, Frances, Hindley's wife, visited Catherine at Thrushcross Grange and coached her into embracing her social status. Catherine's polished appearance shocks everyone at Wuthering Heights. Even Hindley declares, "Why, Cathy, you are quite a beauty." Catherine's physical appearance contrasts with Heathcliff's dusty clothes, uncombed thick hair, and dirty face and hands. Catherine rushes to Heathcliff and kisses him several times and lets out an innocent laugh. As she said, Heathcliff looks dark and cross, unlike Edgar and Isabella Linton. Heathcliff ignores Catherine, and when Hindley commands Heathcliff to shake Catherine's hand, Heathcliff says, "I shall not stand to be laughed at. I shall not bear it." Heathcliff rushes out of the room and gets on YouTube to hit the like button on this video so that others can find it. Thank you so much. Nellie finds Heathcliff in the stable later in the evening and tries to coax Heathcliff to come into the kitchen where he can sit next to the warm hearth and have a nice chat with Catherine. Heathcliff ignores her. The next day, on Christmas morning, Heathcliff goes out into the moors. When the others head to church, Heathcliff returns to Wuthering Heights and says, "Nellie, make me decent. I'm going to be good." Heathcliff's plea suggests a fleeting desire to reform himself, at least outwardly, to meet Catherine's or society's expectations. He knows that in his current state, he is seen as coarse, savage, and unsuitable in the eyes of people like the Lintons. His appeal to Nellie reflects his awareness of this and a longing to appear more civilized or socially acceptable. Heathcliff wishes that he had light hair and fair skin like Edgar. His dark features and unrefined appearance set him apart from the fair-haired and genteel Edgar, who represents the societal ideal of wealth and privilege. Heathcliff's longing to look like Edgar underscores the deep social chasm between them, which is a source of his bitterness. In Victorian England, physical beauty was often tied to moral virtue and social superiority, making Heathcliff's darker complexion a symbolic burden. Nellie, ever the storyteller, tries to cheer him up. She tells Heathcliff that he is stronger and taller than Edgar and calls Edgar a crybaby. She even imagines Heathcliff might be a prince in disguise, maybe the son of an emperor in China and an Indian queen. By imagining that Heathcliff might be a prince in disguise, Nellie indulges in the type of fairy tale thinking common in Gothic literature. This imaginative genealogy, an emperor of China and an Indian queen, exoticizes Heathcliff and aligns with the mysterious ambiguity of his origins. However, it also reinforces the idea that his background is other, a significant factor in his outsider status. Now here is where things get messy. The Lintons had been invited to celebrate Christmas at Wuthering Heights. Suddenly, the Earnshaws and the Lintons arrive home from church, and Nellie tells Heathcliff to approach everyone with a friendly smile. When Hindley sees Heathcliff, he starts to shove Heathcliff out of the room before Heathcliff can try to be good and friendly. Nellie attempts to defend Heathcliff. Meanwhile, Edgar Linton comments on how long Heathcliff's hair is. Heathcliff takes this as an insult and picks up a dish of hot applesauce and smashes it into Edgar's face. Hindley takes Heathcliff away while Edgar cries. Catherine seems to be annoyed by Edgar's crying and wishes Edgar hadn't spoken to Heathcliff. With Heathcliff banished to the upstairs, The Earnshaws and Lintons go on to enjoy their Christmas celebration. A band from Gimmerton, the local town, arrives. Catherine uses this as an opportunity to slip away and spend some time with Heathcliff. Nellie warns her when the band is finishing up. Heathcliff then joins Nellie in the kitchen and makes a startling declaration. "I am trying to settle how I shall pay Hindley back. I don't care how long I wait, if I can only do it at last. I hope he will not die before I do." Nellie is alarmed and advises forgiveness. Heathcliff asks to be left alone in his scheming. He feels no pain when planning for Hindley's demise. Nellie then stops her narrative, saying that it is late at night, and surely Lockwood doesn't find these stories interesting. Lockwood insists that Nellie continue the story and not leave anything out. The chapter concludes with Nellie saying she will continue with the events of next summer, the summer of 1778. Let's step back and connect some key themes from the first 7 chapters. In chapter 4, when Mr. Earnshaw goes to Liverpool, Hindley asks for a fiddle, symbolizing a desire for refinement and culture. His choice reflects his soft-hearted, aimless nature, and foreshadows his failure to thrive. Even his father remarks on Hindley's lack of potential. In contrast, Catherine's request for a whip hints at a different kind of longing, a powerless young girl's yearning for control in a world that denies her authority. Catherine ultimately gets her metaphorical whip in Heathcliff. Named after Earnshaw's deceased son, Heathcliff serves as a surrogate for the lost child and becomes a tool of power for Catherine. He represents an extension of her will, a darker, more rebellious double. Empowered by Heathcliff's presence, Catherine defies patriarchal authority, resisting both Joseph's strict religious moralizing and her father's attempts to discipline her. This bond between Catherine and Heathcliff, rooted in shared defiance and a fusion of identities, sets the stage for their tragic entanglement. Hindley's return after Mr. Earnshaw's death marks a bitter reversal. He exiles Nellie and Joseph to the kitchen and relegates Heathcliff to servitude, and he seizes control of Wuthering Heights. The kitchen, though traditionally a space of warmth and domesticity, becomes a crucible for violence and power struggles. Victorian ideals associated the hearth with femininity. Women were expected to nurture and maintain the moral center of the home. However, the hearth at Wuthering Heights is often a site of chaos, not comfort, reflecting the disorder that governs the lives of its inhabitants. Francis's arrival at Wuthering Heights is the beginning of Catherine's fall from the heaven of her existence with Heathcliff. Because Frances represents the idealized model young woman Catherine should be, but isn't. Catherine's physical transformation after her stay at Thrushcross Grange represents a pivotal moment in her internal conflict between her wild nature and the refined societal expectations imposed on her. Her laughter at Heathcliff's appearance highlights how much her perception has already begun to shift. Before her stay at Thrushcross Grange, Catherine is a wild child, dirty, irreligious, undutiful, and insensitive to everyone's needs but her own. In fact, Catherine's need for control is probably the dominating force of the novel. We need to pay attention to all of the methods she employs to maintain control. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, and I will catch you in the next one.